right? And then there's another point. Get, how to say that? Get used to speak in front of the camera, to put yourself in the frame. It's a training. So do use the training in order to get ahead in your ability to, how to say, to prepare. As simple as that. You see, the point is, you use every opportunity to train for whatever comes in front, not necessarily competition. It could be get better for your professional life, as simple as that. You don't need necessarily to have a competition. You could just get better. I was preparing on Monday someone to become, how to say it, an EU ambassador, right? External Action Service, EU ambassador. And so he was saying, you know, obviously I was preparing him for all the selection process that somebody who goes for ambassador should go through. And when he left the session, he said, not only that I'm prepared now for my selection process, but I became a better professional, right? So keep in mind, every single opportunity is for you to become a better professional. And then, okay, if you have on top of that an exam, this is a bonus. The other way around, right? First is the exam, and then is the bonus to become a better professional. In any case, hello, Thomas. Good. Emeshe, I forgot to say hello, Emeshe. Daniela, look, I have a lot of people that I know. I love that. And I suppose that the aunts that I'm seeing for the first time will stay with me. So then I will have even more next time. So the purpose of today is to say good luck to the ones who will enter the new competitions, right? And there are the competitions in, what is that? Environment, climate, something like that, right? Let me check your, how to say, what is the energy, climate and environment, right? And suppose that if you are here, you're very interested to know how could I help you, right? So before getting on how could I help you, I would like to stay with very, how to say, like something like preamble, right? Preamble means an introduction to the way I could prepare you, or an introduction to how to handle, how to organize your exam. So the one thing that is important for you to understand, and that's why I was talking about this ambassador, is that the selection process, which is the exam, right? In fact, tries, and sometimes they quite succeed, to imitate the professional life. Now, why is that important? It means that if you do your master classes or individual sessions or whatever preparation I offer you in advance, not only that you prepare the competition, but you become a better professional by the same doing, right? So it's important for you to have that thing in mind. Don't wait for the last minute, because you will have tomorrow the interview. Start already now. You will have the way to talk, the way to present yourself, the way to think about your career that we work throughout the preparation time. And obviously, I will quote you all the time people that I just had the session with. So the one that just finished the session before I started with you. I prepared the field-related interview last week or 2 weeks ago. And she said, was amazing how when I went in the interview and they asked the question and all my examples come like a waterfall, easily, logically, fluidly, and everything. So think about that means a good preparation. And she came out of this interview like, oh, that was such a pleasant experience. Make sense, Joanna? It was such a pleasant experience. Good, right? So stay with that. Could you imagine to leave your, hello, Cornelia, to leave your interview, right, for an exam, and to come out with, oh, that was such a pleasant experience. Great. Now, that's why I'm saying start in advance preparing, And you will see how that becomes, let's say, a second nature, the way you will talk about yourself, your experiences, and so on, right? Then, so this is one, which are the interviews. Second, we start in advance to prepare the written. Why? Because the written is a simulation of writing notes, writing briefings, writing whatever, speaking points and defensives and blah, blah, blah for your managers, right? Now, we do the case study / written test in our preparation. I would say you become better in drafting, as simple as that. Right? And then by becoming better in drafting, I would say, obviously, you will be perceived as a better professional. You see what I mean? So this is the bonus of preparing the competition in advance. Not only that, you accumulate experience in practicing the written also, but you get better at your daily work. Hopefully, you get, you get a better reputation and a better appreciation from the managers and so on. And that obviously gives you a stronger emotional stance when you will go for the competition, right? So these are the two things, interview, so that means the oral part of the exam and the written part of the exam, that by preparing in advance, you become a better professional, and that's fundamental, right? I mean, at least you get that, and sooner we prepare the preparation, or you start the preparation, more experience you could get into it, which is obviously what you will like by the time you get to your exam. Now, apart from this, obviously, your exam has, let me check, it's called reasoning test, right? I'm not going to read you the notice of competition, obviously. I suppose you know how to read, right? So you don't need me to read it to you. You will do it. But what I go through is what is interesting in my point. So for the application, they say you could do the application in any of the languages. That means the application is the CV plus the 4 questions, right? Now, I do hear that you could do in any of the 24. I would not do in exotic languages. So I would stay with my application in languages that are, let's say, French, English, German, I would say, to be sure that somebody can read it. And I'm not necessarily pushing my jury in an uncomfortable situation that he has to go for a translation. So that will be my advice. Obviously, it's not what they say, but this would be my choice, personal choice. If I would do an application, I would stay with the languages where I would guess that there is enough manpower on the other side to check my application. So I'm talking about CV and the 4 questions, right? And then the talent screener, you see what I mean? They force you in English. Why? For the same reasons. They want to be sure that they will have enough assessors to check your documents. And obviously, as I would say, everybody has a kind of English of a very variable level, but nevertheless, everybody has it around. So this is the language that, how to say that, in which they can assess the talent screener. So that's why they force you to stay in English. But I will do the 3 documents that I mentioned, which is the CV part, the 4 questions and the talent screener. I will do them in English, or if you want really to be exotic, probably you could use French or German, but I would not go for the other languages. That is my choice. Now, if you want to promote your national language, good luck, do it, but I would not, strategically, I would not choose it. That's my, okay, good. Now, and the question to you, or the question that you will have to me is, do I prepare this? Yes. And I have to confess that for this particular competition, which is the climate, energy, climate and environment, I started already to rewrite with my clients the CV, the 4 questions, and we are now, next week, I will do the talent screener. So what I'm saying is that these are documents that I suppose should be done at the highest possible level. And I guess that not only the talent screener, because then there's another point, right? I would say, yes, you could come and we write only the talent screener together. But to me, it's important that the whole package, which has 3 documents, should be done at the highest possible level. And obviously, this is your first meeting with the jury. And I will guess that you would like to give a good impression by having high quality documents. Now, I have to give you the quote. I would say what happened this morning with my client. We were writing so the application, the CV, the application form. And in the beginning, she came and she said, you know, I only want you to check my application. Like say to correct my application. I said, no, my dear, I don't correct. Why? Because I have never seen yet a good CV. And I'm working on CVs for 20 years. And I could tell you that at least once a week, I have a CV to do or an application or so, at least once a week. And you know, she was a little bit kind of frustrated because she had in mind that I would correct her documents. And in fact, I said, no, you are coming and we will do them together. And obviously Francisco and so many others would have been there. And apparently they are smiling, right? So the apparently was a good experience. But I have to tell you the experience of my client, you know, so we started to rewrite the CV and I said, okay, now could you compare my version with your version? And she said, yes, there is no comparison. So what I'm telling you is that, yes, it's another piece of cake. So we should rewrite the CV, we should rewrite the 4 questions and the talent screener, not to mention, which is the most important piece. And as much as you want to, to start at the good level, I would say the documents are fundamental. So this is number 1, and obviously I could help you in that. Now, we finish with the application, we go to the assessment center. And as I said already to you, I will start immediately. So once you finish with the documents, you put them in, then jump on the preparation. Now you will say, yeah, but I don't know yet whether they are eligible and they accept it. No. Okay, but then if you're decided to go for European competitions, for God's sake, do the preparation. Because if it's not this time, it will be the next time. So in any case, instead of waiting to have your acceptance, I would say go and prepare. In any case, you want to go for the second one, right? You want to go for the third or whatever the number is, you want to pass the competition, right? So then start the preparation. And the first preparation, obviously, that I would do is the reasoning test. We are talking about verbal, numerical, and abstract. Good. Now, here, the ones who did not check my website thoroughly, even though I recommend you to do that, I have a master in mathematics, right? So if ever you need help for the numerical, for the abstract, I think I'm coming from a very good place to help you in that, right? Especially, I would say not necessarily for the engineers, but for the ones who did more humanistic studies, I do know, and even for the ones who are in the financial sectors, I'm telling you, I help a lot to my clients in that. We do the numerical, the abstract, the verbal reasoning in a very clear, down-to-earth, applicable. So we need 1 hour per test and you are out of it. And I'm telling you that this is a very big thing, because my clients are coming with, I've been so many trainings and I've been so many hours and I have so many methods, but when I'm in the front of the test, I don't know what to use. I say, well, too bad. This is the difference will be that with me, you will have one method and it works in every exercise. So we'll go through, you have 3 steps, you follow the 3 steps and you are done. So I would start with this. Why? Because in order to get good results, you should have a lot of practice. So be sure that you get enough time to practice. Makes sense? So that's why to my mind, the planning that you should have should be application immediately. Do your application in 2-3 weeks, get it in, and then we move on the reasoning test, so that you could gather some 3 months or so of practice. Unless you believe that you're exceptional and you do that, good for you. But I would say that for the vast majority, you should gather practice. And the only way to gather practice is obviously by spending 1 hour a day. I would say it's a minimum on verbal, numerical, and abstract. That's the way forward. Now, should you wait then before getting to a case study field and so? I would say no. Why? Because how to say that? Let's imagine we do our verbal, numerical, and abstract, right? And you start the practice. But I'm telling you, at one point, you will get kind of bored. You have to get again and again 3. So then it will be interesting to have a variation in your preparation. So then if one day you do the reasoning test and the other day you do, for example, the case study, which is the written exercise, and the other day you do an interview like the CBI or field related, this variation and preparation keeps you kind of motivated. Otherwise, it will be very heavy if every single day you do only the reasoning test. Makes sense what I'm saying? So I would say, in order to help to manage yourself, to manage your motivation, to manage your, how to say, energy, your enthusiasm in the preparation, it's better to have several types of exams in preparation. As I said, reasoning, case study, which is a written, and then an oral, which is the interview. And then if you have the 3 and then you alter every day, then at least you have the impression that you do different things and you will not get bored so heavily as if you just take one exam and then you stay on that exam. So I'm now in, for example, the preparation for the external relations. And yesterday evening, I was having a client and she said, you know, I'm so fed up. I cannot stand them anymore. I don't want to see the exam. You see, so that's the situation. You are getting to a point where it is very heavy to continue. So in order to manage your energy, your enthusiasm, your motivation, the variation of the preparation is essential. So that gives you a certain, Joanna, you agree with me? Right. So you
I was just going to say, I mean, the fed up mode, but I just have one to go.
Good for you. But you see, so it's very important to have that energy to continue. And by having a variation of exams to prepare, that is kind of, it looks more fun right now. Fun is not really the right word, but okay. That's the point. So we are in the reasoning test, and I said 1 hour per day for 3 months would be a good plan for, I would say, the vast majority of you. And there is another point that I will make here as a difference, which is, don't put that 1 hour at the end of the work day. It's not because you decided that you will do it. That is enough and you can make it. Think about, and I will make this comment here. So, good Lord, I have to reduce the volume because I lost my voice in the last week. So apparently I talk too much. My clients will not necessarily complain about that, but so what I was saying is that you have to know, and obviously you know, you're adult enough, mature enough to know that we humans, we are at least of two types, which is called chronotypes. That means types in relation with the time. So one is the day type. So think about, do you wake up without the alarm clock? Do you like to work in the morning, the heavy things, the difficult things? Do you feel more alert in the morning? In the same time, you are hungry when you wake up. You see, it's like all your functions are at strong point. And then as the day goes by, you kind of fade. So in theory, by 9, 10 o'clock, you would like to go to bed. Do you recognize yourself in that? If so, you are a day type. And if you are a day type, then your preparation should be done in the morning. For example, before going to work. So your 1 hour reasoning test should be done in the morning. So 8 to 9, for example. And then at 9 you start work. If you cannot, because you have the kids to the crash and whatever other things, at least get the hour at the lunchtime. At least. Do not wait for the evening because your brain is kind of tired. And the problem is that your results are not good. So not only that you get depressed, but you don't get progress in the learning. Make sense? Good. Okay, now. So 1 hour for the 3, yes. When you go into the 1 hour for the 3, when you learned already and you do them quite more or less well, then you go 1 hour for the 3. But if you're not good, then in the beginning, probably it's better to take 1 hour per test because you would like to be sure that you do well, right? So here I'm talking when already you do reasonably well, and then you take 1 hour, which should be one whole exam in that hour, right? So then your brain learns to handle 1 hour concentration and learns to deal with verbal, numerical, and abstract in one go. Makes sense? So not in the very beginning, but when you go in the cruise speed, dans la vitesse de croisière, right? Not in the beginning. Now, so this is one. Second, the second type, when you wake up in the morning, is always with the alarm clock. Normally, you would like to start work about 10, and you are not hungry and you're kind of dizzy before having your first or the second coffee. Makes sense? And you wake up about 11 or so in order to say, okay, now I'm in the mood to do whatever work. But then as the day goes on, you increase your strength and your concentration and so on, right? At that point that you could continue in the night. Now is whether up to 12 or 2 or 4 in the morning, that's another story. But, and as a student, you are just studying during the night. Do you recognize yourself there? Who recognizes? Because it's either or, right? You cannot be the third type. It's either you are day type or you are night type, right? So don't wait for the third, there's no third. Now, so the night type should put the work about 5, 6, because at 5, 6, you have a very good concentration still. And in theory, you could take an hour from the office because at 5, 6, in theory, everybody finished the work, or at least it's acceptable to have a pause. So what I was saying is that when you prepare yourself for at least for the reasoning, be sure that you match your preparation time with your chronotype. Because if not, it not only that is very difficult to do it, but the results are not good, and obviously you will not feel good about it. Makes sense what I'm saying? All right. So this is the reasoning test. Now I go to the next test, is the case study. And when I see here that in your exam, you will have only case study, you don't have written test in the domain of competence, as in some exercise, or how to say, some exams exist. So case study means not your domain of competence. Now, why is that? Yeah, okay, I will respond to also. So the case study is not in the domain of competence, which means that the, how to say, the real purpose of the case study is your ability to read, comprehend, organize information, structure information, and then based on this information that you acquired in that half an hour, you are able to create a briefing for your boss, right? That's the exercise. So whatever domain of competence, because you will get something that is really far away from your domain. So if you are in energy, climate, and environment, they could give you what is okay, let's invent something which is not at all there. What could be that? ECFIN, financial things. ECFIN, DG culture and environment. No, culture and whatever, youth culture and this. You see what I mean? Domains where you have no clue whatsoever. So the exam makes you to read text that in theory you don't understand on the first place. You have to grasp the information, you have to organize, you have to structure it, then you have to put it in a logical structure so that you then draft a briefing to the boss. Makes sense. Now, you understand that if you do my masterclass, for example, I would say very soon that you have the time, 3 months or 6 months, 3, no, rather 6, to do briefings according to my structure for the case study, according to the protocol for the case study. And not only that, you will become better in drafting briefings at work, but then by the time in 6 months, when you get to your case study, well, you should be a champion, right? So as simple as that. So this was my point on prepare as soon as you can. There is no point to wait. So the case study, and then how do you practice the case study? Well, don't buy case studies. You see, there's no point. You just go on internet, right? You take the issue of the day, which is a European summit in Brussels. And then because it's an issue of the day, there are certainly 5 or 10 articles about it. Put them together and you have a case study. You see, as simple as that. So you have every day another case study, because every day there is another subject, and every day you get together 5 articles about the subject. You follow me? So it's very easy and responds exactly to the case study, which is not in the domain of competence. So whatever comes, European summit and the bombardments and floods and the whatever, tsunami and blah, blah, who cares? You can write briefings about everything, right? So that was the case study. And as I said, sooner the better. You will have a lot of practice that will make you even better at work. And certainly in 6 months, you will be very good in the case study. Now, what is the absence of the written test? Well, apparently, they don't want to test because in the written is in the domain of competence, right? Now, is it that they don't want to test you in the domain of competence, which is a little bit strange, but okay. Is that they do not agree what is the domain of competence? You see, so it's very difficult to do an evaluation grid Is that is a 2 junior competition is an 86 or is that? I don't see where is that. If it's 6 or so, because if it's 6, could be that you are 2 junior to.
It's 6, yeah.
6, yes. Okay, so could be that you are 2 junior, and because of that, yeah, could be that they said doesn't really matter in 86. They have something I will see in the CV, and then they will learn as they go. Could be. So in any case, but then the discussion is too complicated, right? I don't want to go there, but there were exams where the written test was ridiculously easy, 6 pages, for God's sake. This is not serious, right? Not to mention there was an example where they had 8 pages and they got it 2 weeks in advance. I mean, for God's sake, 8 pages, you could learn them by heart in 2 weeks, right? So this is ridiculous. And then on the other hand, so this is on one hand, right? On the other hand, I had clients who got 50 pages in the moment of the written test. 50 pages, 50, in 2 hours, right? And they were heavy legal text, like Court of Justice directive or and a Court of Justice judgment. I mean, God's sake, 50 pages. Now, 2 hours. And there was another one, which is worse, the Schengen. They got 100 pages in the written test. 100, one regulation, and the guidelines for application of Schengen, something like that. Good Lord, 100. Okay, go read them in 2 pages and do whatever they ask you to do. So that's why I said, Fausto, the discussion is very complicated, which is that the written test went from one ridiculous easy test to one ridiculous heavy text. So I suppose that they didn't find a right balance. So probably they dropped it altogether. So they went back to the case study. I don't know. I have a question mark here because of the way that what was handled until now was not convincing. So in any case, what we know is the case study is not in the domain, so you could do a lot of practice by writing briefings. So come to the masterclass, get the protocol, and then go to practice and practice it. 6 months practice, great. Second, we have the field-related interview. Now, this is very important because the field-related interview, do you hear the word field, is the only one in the field. So here you have the opportunity to, how to say that, to show that you are the expert. Make sense? This is your opportunity to show that you are the expert. So that's why, for example, you have to do a very good talent screener. And then the interview will go along the lines of the talent screener. So if you did a very good talent screener, then in theory, hello, ça va? I kind of late, I'm sorry. So what I'm saying is that you have to do a very good talent screener because the interview goes along the lines of the talent screener, right? So, and then obviously you would like to be able to defend the points that you put in the talent screener at that moment of the interview. So even more so, you pay attention to how you write your talent screener. And then when you go to the interview, you go through your professional experience. Let's hope that is in the domain, because then if not, you will have a big problem there. And you will go through this experience in order to show that you are the specialist that they want to recruit. You follow me? So that's the way you see your interview in the field, is the show off of the specialist. Makes sense? So whatever experience, whatever knowledge, whatever skills, whatever you have to show, you show. That is the moment. then there is always a question that my clients ask. Are they going to ask me something that is not in my domain? That means it's still in the domain, but it's not in my experience. You follow me? So let's imagine, Joanna, you have done only dolphins. No, we don't eat dolphins, right? Tuna, red tuna, right? And they will ask about the blue tuna. No, they won't, because you said, I've done only red tuna. Makes sense. You see, so when you go to the field interview, they will go, can I say, dig down in your experience, not in the other experience, right? Now, probably they will ask about the blue tuna, but not about the lobster, Joanna. Not about the lobster, no. Not about, I don't know, Antarctican fish, right? They don't have fish, whatever. They have krill, I know. Right, you see? So the point is that in the field interview, they talk about your experience and they go down in concrete things that you said you have done, right? Now, it might be that they will just ask a question outside, completely outside, to see whether you have some ideas. But it doesn't matter. Even if you don't know, there's no problem because you didn't say that you know. You follow me? So that's why it's important that the talent screener, how to say that, presents all your knowledge and they are supposed to stay there. And if they go outside, well, you say, no, I don't know. But I could, if you have some ideas, you could say, yes, I could. It's like, I have an example in that sense, a client who asked me, could you help me to, could you prepare me for a UN selection, right, in Geneva? I said, look, I do not know the selection process or the competitions for UN. Now send me the notice of competition and I will check what they want and then I will tell you whether I could assume, right, what is to be done. And obviously they look very much like EPSO preparations, right? A written test, an oral test, reasoning and so on. So I said, yes, I could do it. So what I'm saying is that you could say the same, I don't know that, but I could imagine that these are the things. Makes sense, but you don't say, I know, right? So that's the difference, right? It's like, this is what I know, this is where I have experience in, and this is what I don't know, but I could have some ideas based on my experience. And Sebastian said, what if I don't have any knowledge in energy? But then you certainly, you will not say that in the, you say in the talent screener, you will not pretend that you have knowledge. Certainly, you will not pretend. And then if you're in an interview, they could not say, by the way, you said you have knowledge. No, you didn't. And they say, do you have knowledge in energy? No. No, and then it's done. There's nothing else to say. So that is the field interview. So as I said, be sure that you prepare very well your professional experience and all the knowledge that is in that domain, right? In your domain where you have experience, because the rest, you could have some theories, but this is what you will say. Well, I have some ideas, or I have some theories, or I read, you know, but not more than that. Make sense? And now the last one, which is the situational competence-based, is the situational thing. By the way, I will do the situational next week, I think. Is that next Monday? Yeah. So next Monday, the 24th, I have a masterclass in situational competence-based interview, SCBI. And there, what I would say as a matter of preparation, there are quite a number of these situational files circulating around. So get your hand on all of them. And once we have done the masterclass so that you know how to do it, you know how to approach it. Then do the practice with all the files that you find. And I would say that's not bad, right? Now you could, as always, the process for all these tests, the process that I think is the most useful and kind of building up, I would say that the first is to take, we have on the website recordings of the master classes. Now, the point is you have a recording is obviously that you could play it again and again until you say, I learned what is there, right? So it's a recording of my master class. In theory, you will get everything out. Once you have done this learning on the recording, I would say, join me for a master class. Why? Because in the master class, normally there are 4, 5, 6 people. Very rarely we are more than that. And then you could ask the questions. You see, so if you come with your lesson learned, and then you ask the questions, and I'm telling you, you will leave with everything absolutely clarified. And only then, if you want me to check what you have done, then you could come on the individual session. And obviously then we go thoroughly through all the questions and answers and whatever you need. Obviously I will take care of every single phrasing that you do. Exactly, this is the feedback that I got this morning from the client who said that she went for the field-related interview, and the examples that we prepared together were so well organized and structured and well phrased that it was a nice experience, pleasant experience, and the jury was just saying, thank you, next question. Thank you, next question. So this was her interview throughout. So obviously that will be the advantage if we prepare an individual basis. So just to repeat, recording first so that you learned your lesson, masterclass second, that you clarify if ever you have things that are not yet clarified, and then if you want the individual session. And I think that you are on the top of the world with that. There's nothing that can happen that you will not be able to handle. And then once we finish with your assessment center, then obviously we could continue to work together so that I could help you to get a job. That will be the next phase. You know, you're on the reserve list, and we prepare the interviews for the future. And then we continue, because you would like probably to become a head of section or head of sector or team leader or head of unit, and so on. And then we keep working together on your career until you become DG. Everything is possible, right? Like in, well, that is, and we could work on the personal development. So not only that you have a good career, but then you are happier in your career, which is another story. I close with that story. I was coaching, oh, by the way, on every Monday, I have a YouTube, how to say, a film, a video, it's about 5 minutes. And in this is called Monday Boost with Carmen. So every Monday it comes out, Monday Boost with Carmen. And in these videos, I present a coaching situation, a coaching, a coaching situation with a client. So one of the situations that I presented in this Monday Boost was a head of unit, an Italian head of unit. And when I started to work with him, he was very frustrated, you know, kind of 50-something frustrated, because he was only head of unit. And he was a very ambitious guy, and he could not make it until that moment. So he was only head of unit, and he was enormous because colleagues that he started with, they were already DGs, right? Director General. So could you imagine that two colleagues of them that I was coaching in the same time, they were Director General, and he was only head of unit. So could you imagine the frustration? And it's true that he was very smart. And the point was rather, let's say, soft skills, right? Ability to relate with others and so on. And we started to the coaching, and obviously this is what he's kind of said, you know, I'm frustrated, I'm smart, I'm hardworking, I'm everything. And how come that they made it to the DG and I'm only head of unit? Said, well, I don't know, but let's see. Let's go there to see what's happening. And then I think that by the end of 1 year of coaching, he became director. So he got immediately a promotion. It was a great result. And what he said to me is not only that, obviously I became director, but I was never that happy in my life. So you see, that was the difference, right? He was never that happy. So it was much more than soft skills to become director. It was soft skills to become happier. And yeah, I would like to close with this remark. Don't forget that, yes, we could do, and I hope that we will do these competitions and whatever competitions you need, or selection processes or promotions, or but don't forget that personal development is a fundamental part to you to be happier in your life. And and I have a group for personal and professional development on Tuesday. So it's a Tuesday at 12 o'clock, and obviously you are invited to join. And it's not only that, I hope that my clients are getting better and happier, but we have a good time, right? It's a great time together. And that's, I think it's amazing. And so what else? So Monday boost, yes, you know, Tuesday is the personal development group. Wednesday, I think I put a lot of feedback from my clients. By the way, the clients who did not write me a feedback, could you please take your 5 minutes and write me down a feedback? Francisco, did you write my feedback? No. Good. So please do, right? I would like to have this feedback from the ones who work with me, obviously. And, you know, so even if you have done a masterclass or a talk or whatever, just write a feedback, because people who don't know me, right, they will learn something about through your feedback. So be generous, give them a hint about what they could get. And so this is the Wednesday feedback. On Thursday, on Thursday we don't have anything. No, probably on Thursday we have the planning, what's happening. And then on Friday, a lot of times I have free talks. Oh, by the way, next week I have the coaching, the group coaching. So if you want to be part of the how to say, of the party, please put your name on the list, and then you will get the link. And next week we have the coaching of the group, and let me see, what are we going to talk about? Yes, EPSO interviews, because guess what? Every time I do a survey to see what's the subject that you would like me to talk about, and then guess what? EPSO interviews. So if you are interested, next Friday will be EPSO interviews. And if you join the group, then you could obviously send you the questions. If not, you have. How to say that? During the session, obviously, you will ask all the questions, because that's the purpose of the coaching. Classes every day like the school. Yes, my dear. I have classes every day. Worst, Savas, worst. I work in even Sundays, Saturday and Sunday. So it's really worse than that. But that's the price of success. Good. So see you probably next week. And how to say, come back whenever you say you think that I could help. And I would say I could help a lot. Thank you.